Hello, everybody. You are joining me in Golden, Colorado, and I'm running a marathon for my 200 subscriber special. Now, I was trying to think of a way to express my gratitude, and I decided to do that through pain. Now, when I say that, I don't necessarily mean that I am only doing this for YouTube, because to be completely honest, this is something I've wanted to do for a really long time. Just to see how it was to run a marathon without training seemed really interesting to me. And so, to be clear, I have not trained at all for this. I don't run. I've been climbing mainly for like my fitness recently, which is mostly upper body. And so this is just, it's an exercise in pain. It's an exercise in futility. And I just wanted to see how far I could get. So starting out, I actually felt really, really good. I was just listening to my music, trying to stay out of my own head, trying to not think about the finish or any more of the pain that I knew that I was going to be in later today. Just trying to stay in the moment. And I actually have a lot of experience with this kind of thinking because my main hobby for the past year has been bike touring, where you go on 8, 10, 15 hour rides. And just see how far you can make it. And of course that came to a head when I did TNGA in 2023, which was an absolutely incredible experience. The event took me 2 days and 14 hours, during which I slept for about 2 hours. By the end I was hallucinating, insane. The amount of euphoria crossing that finish line was something I've never experienced before. And it absolutely changed the way I thought about pain, especially pain from exercising. And so this video is really almost an experiment into how far can you go. Now at the end of this first 3 miles, I actually felt really, really good. Way better than I was expecting. And y'all can see this in the next clip. I'm getting like euphoria right now.
Oh, the runner's high?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My left knee is still bothering me a little bit, but it started going slightly uphill. That's helping that. Mostly just trying to think about only the next segment. Think about the left turn off of Clear Creek, where the hill's gonna start. But just trying to segment it up. This is the easy part. Let's see what mile up is. 3.37.
Hell yeah.
So I have not been that far, but I'm feeling a lot better than I thought it would at this point. Now, in order for me to explain what's happening in this next clip, I have to explain how I was navigating. Basically, I had the route loaded onto a Garmin bike computer, which I just had in my hand. During the previous clip, you may have noticed that I was keeping it in my pocket for a time, and that actually caused it to lose satellite signal. And if you don't know anything about Garmin's, basically, they are the dumbest software platform on the planet. So, because that Garmin lost satellite signal for like more than 5 minutes, it actually gave up on looking for satellites. And the only way to actually make it start looking for satellites again was to completely restart it and restart the routes. And so that's the reason I don't have one coherent Strava post for this run, because I actually had to restart my Garmin every time it lost satellite signal, which of course canceled the route. Now that is absolutely idiotic. It was pissing me off. You can see me looking at the Garmin trying to figure out what the hell is happening this whole time. But in the end, I actually was able to resolve it, and I didn't go off course at all because I had, to an extent, memorized the route the night before. So I was finally able to get that issue resolved. And then after a short little bathroom break where it felt really weird to stand still after running for so long, I was smooth sailing again. Now for about the next 8 miles, I actually felt really, really good. I was just cruising. I was running further than I had ever in my life before this. The longest I'd ever run was about 6 miles. And so I was just moving along, feeling really, really good about myself. We moved into an area that was north of Golden, very, very pretty, a lot less buildings around me, just kind of snowy, looking at North Table Mountain, which was now to my right. Just having a great time. Honestly, I can say I was having a really good time. We then moved into a section with a lot more neighborhood, did some people watching. There are some more people walking down the path I was on, and this positive momentum lasted until I turned on to the final segment of the run, which was by far the longest. Now, the way I structured this run, it was basically 3 out and backs. The first was out and back at Clear Creek, which was when I was in that canyon in the very beginning. The second was going north up into the rural area. And the last one was out east by the Coors plant and out 6 miles, a little mile loop, and then back 6 miles. And this out and back is where by far the most pain and the most difficult part of the run happened. It kind of all came on at once. The thing limiting the most in this was that my right foot developed a shooting pain every single step, right on the inside. It felt like the bones in my leg and the bones in my ankle were just like hitting together, and it was incredibly painful, and it gave me this extremely strong desire just to walk, just to stop running, because at this point I'd been running for about 2.5 hours. Something really shocking began to happen where I began to like involuntarily have bouts of walking, and it would just be 1 or 2 steps. But the way I was defining running is that like you have to have like a little bit of air time between each step, right? And it suddenly is like the step before I failed to have the little jump necessary in order to swing the other leg forward. So I'd take a couple of walking steps, and I don't have any footage of this, and it sounds kind of ridiculous, but I swear this is what was happening to me. All of this came to a head when I finally stopped for the first time, and this was at mile 13, and this was extremely hard for me. I really, really did not want to stop, but my legs hurt so bad that I had to, and that sounds like a lame excuse, but keep in mind, this had been 13 miles straight of running for someone who doesn't run. I've never been very good at running. I did not train at all for this. Like I mentioned before, I'd been climbing, and so I just had to stop. And I sat down for about 5 minutes. A man came up and started talking to me. He asked how far I'd come. He said I was trying to run a marathon, and he basically laughed at me. He was super kind. But yeah, and so it took a lot of effort to keep running in the same direction that I had been running, because at this point we're still headed out away from home basically. And so I kept going out. At this point I was about halfway out on that final out and back, and so it was really hard to keep going knowing that we still had 3/4 of this 13-mile segment left to go. Now at this point, I just want to take a moment to thank my amazing girlfriend who followed me on a bike for the vast majority of this run. And she's the reason that this video is so watchable, and it's not just me filming by myself. Y'all will see some of me filming by myself at the very end, because she did have to go a little early. But honestly, all the footage she got was really good. She put up with me like telling her to film and stuff, and so I just wanted to say thank you so much. She gave up pretty much her whole Sunday for this. From this point on, the run just turned into a grind. I spent about 60 to 70% running, 50% walking, until about the last 3 miles. I was taking the occasional break, but really I was just kind of in suffer mode, really trying not to think about the end, but being really unsuccessful, still heading out. Finally getting to turn around was a morale boost, but that meant I was also running into the sun, which was a constant reminder that it was going down very quickly. couple of miles after I turned around and started heading back, my girlfriend realized that she had an obligation for her sorority, and so she went and she raced back, and I continued my struggle on my own. And this is where the darkest parts of the run happened. The clips you guys are about to see is after my girlfriend left. I was filming with my phone on my own, just talking to the camera, mostly trying to make myself feel better. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. It's the hardest thing. The amount of pain I'm in, and for the length I've been in it, is something I've never ever experienced in my entire life. My feet, my ankles, my thighs, everything from the waist down hurts. My hip joints, my knee joints, everything. And the sun is setting, as you can see. And it's about to get cold. So I'm gonna keep pushing. I really hope I don't have to cut the end, but I'm really, really try not to. Okay. Another update. I am out of water. So it's looking pretty grim. Yeah. It's starting to smell like shit, which is a good sign. Because I know there was a sewage treatment plant that was pretty close to the beginning. I've been running intermittently, probably about like 50% of the time. My feet and ankles and everything just hurts so bad. Oh, look, a deer. Y'all see him? What's up, dude? So basically, I've got to take you guys to the desk to describe this last segment of the run because I've got no footage of it. What was happening was I'd been completely out of water for about an hour at this point. And when you're out of water, you can't eat because eating, like digestion, takes water out of your system and it makes your dehydration worse, which of course will get you faster than lack of calories will. So it's never good to eat when you don't have water with you. And so I was out of water and I'd resigned myself completely to walking. This is the last 4 miles that I walked, whatever. Anyways, as I was walking, I was completely alone. I was walking by the segment of Greenway that's by the Coors plant. And if anyone's ever been on that segment before, not very likely any of y'all have, but it's very, very isolated. There's no buildings. You've got a highway on one side and a big fence on the other. And it's this Greenway path right down the middle. And so I had no shelter. It was getting colder and colder. I was super hungry. If you've never felt that, where you're away from shelter, when you're like away from humanity and you are cold and hungry and you know that like if you lay down, then no one's gonna come get you, right? Well, at least for a very long time. And so like I was getting colder and colder and my hands were so cold that this is the device I navigated with. When I went to try and press the buttons, it was like my hands were moving at 50% speed. And so I was struggling to press the buttons because my hands were so cold because I was still in that tank top and I didn't think I'd be out after dark, but alas, it took so long. So finally I made it back to where that Greenway segment connects back to Golden, and I went back up towards the area I started at. Now, it was at this point where I decided to cut the route. Now, you have to acknowledge that I thought that I was gonna be like 3 or 4 miles off of my goal. And I was so tired, so hungry, so cold that I knew that I literally physically could not do 3 or 4 miles. Later, I computed the route using a route finding app called Komoot. And I found out that I made it 25.5 miles. Now, for those who don't know, a marathon is 26.2 miles. And so that was super shocking to me. That was 0.7 miles away. And I found this out the next day. Now, the next thing I'm gonna show you, and the last thing I'm gonna show you, is the clip of me finishing. And all I wanna say is, I don't view this as a loss. I know I didn't make it the whole way. I know I walked a lot, but I sleep well knowing that I went as far as I possibly could have. And that's all you can really ask. So anyways, here's the clip of me finishing.
There he is. Oh my gosh. 26 miles. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I failed so bad.
No, you didn't.
I failed so bad.
No, you didn't.
I don't know. I think I went like 23 miles, 24 miles or something like that.
It's just like insane.
I walked a lot. I took a lot of breaks.
Because your body is not ready for a marathon, okay? You're doing great.